Exodus chapter 24. Ratification of the covenant. Moses himself was told, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron with Nadab, Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. You shall bow down at the distance. Moses alone is to come to the Lord. The others shall not come close, and the people shall not come up with him." When Moses came to the people and related all the words and ordinances of the Lord, they all answered with one voice, "We will do everything that the Lord has told us." Moses then wrote down all the words of the Lord, and rising early in the morning, he built at the foot of the mountain an altar and 12 sacred stones for the 12 tribes of Israel. Then, having sent young men of the Israelites to offer burnt offerings and sacrifice young bulls as communion offerings to the Lord, Moses took half of the blood and put it into large bowls. The other half he splashed on the altar. Taking the book of the covenant, he read it aloud to the people, who answered, "All that the Lord has said we will hear and do." Then he took the blood and splashed it on the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant which the Lord has made with you according to all these words." Moses then went up with Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and 70 elders of Israel, and they beheld the God of Israel. Under his feet there appeared to be sapphire tile work, as clear as the sky itself. Yet he did not lay a hand on these chosen Israelites. They saw God, and they ate and drank. Moses on the mountain. The Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain, and while you are there, I will give you the stone tablets on which I have written the commandments intended for their instruction." Sorry, I lost my place. So Moses set out with Joshua, his assistant, and went up to the mountain of God. He told the elders, "Wait here for us until we return to you. Aaron and Hur are with you. Anyone with a complaint should approach them." Moses went up the mountain. Then the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord settled upon Mount Sinai. The cloud covered it for 6 days, and on the 7th day he called for Moses from the midst of the cloud. To the Israelites the glory of the Lord was seen as a consuming fire on the top of the mountain. But Moses entered into the midst of the cloud and went up on the mountain. He was on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. The book of Exodus, chapter 25. Collection of materials. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites, let them receive contributions for me. From each you shall receive the contribution that their hands prompt them to give. These are the contributions you shall accept from them: gold, silver, and bronze, violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, fine linen, and goat hair, ram's skins dyed red, and tahash skins, acacia wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense, onyx stones and other gems for mounting on the ephod and the breastplate. They are to make a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell in their midst. According to all that I show you regarding the pattern of the tabernacle and the pattern of the furnishings, so you are to make it. Plan of the ark. You shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Place it inside and outside with pure gold, and put a molding of gold around the top of it. Cast 4 gold rings and put them on the 4 supports of the ark, 2 rings on one side and 2 on the opposite side. Then make poles of acacia wood and plate them with gold. These poles you are to put through the rings on the sides of the ark for carrying it. They must remain in the rings of the ark and never be withdrawn. In the ark you are to put the covenant which I will give you. You shall then make a cover of pure gold, 2.5 cubits long and 1.5 cubits wide. Make 2 cherubim, beaten gold, for the 2 ends of the cover. Make 1 cherub at one end and the other at the other end, of one piece with the cover at each end. The cherubim shall have their wings spread, but out above, sheltering the cover with them. They shall face each other with their faces looking toward the cover. This cover you shall then place on top of the ark. In the ark itself you are to put the covenant which I will give you. There I will meet you, and there from above the cover between the 2 cherubim on the ark of the covenant I will tell you all that I command you regarding the Israelites. The table. You shall also make a table of acacia wood, 2 cubits long, 1 cubit wide, and 1.5 cubits high. Plate it with pure gold, and make a molding of gold around it. Make a frame for it, a handbreadth high, and make a molding of gold around the frame. You shall also make 4 rings of gold for it, and fasten them at the 4 corners, one at each leg. The rings shall be alongside the frame as holders for the poles to carry the table. These poles for carrying the table you shall make of acacia wood, and plate with gold. You shall make its plates and cups, as well as its pitchers and bowls for pouring libations. Make them of pure gold. On the table you shall always keep showbread set before me. The menorah. You shall make a menorah of pure beaten gold, its shaft and branches with its cups and knobs and petals, springing directly from it. 6 branches are to extend from its sides, 3 branches on one side and 3 on the other. On one branch there are to be 3 cups, shaped like almond blossoms, each with its knob and petals. On the opposite branch there are to be 3 cups, shaped like almond blossoms, each with its knob and petals, and so for the 6 branches that extend from the menorah. On the menorah there are to be 4 cups, shaped like almond blossoms, with their knobs and petals. The 6 branches that go out from the menorah are to have a knob each under each pair. Their knobs are branches, and branches shall so spring from it that the whole will form a single piece of pure beaten gold. You shall then make 7 lamps for it, and set up the lamps that they give their light on the space in front of the menorah. These, as well as the trimming shears and trays, must be of pure gold. Use a talent of pure gold for the menorah and on these utensils. See that you make them according to the patterns shown you on the mountain. The tent cloth. Exodus chapter 26. The tabernacle itself you shall make out of 10 sheets woven of fine linen twined, and of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and cherubim embroidered on them. The length of each shall be 28 cubits, and the width 4 cubits. All the sheets shall be of the same size. 5 of the sheets are to be joined one to another, and the same for the other 5. Make loops of violet yarn along the edge of the end sheet in one set, and the same along the edge of the one sheet in the other set. Make 50 loops along the edge of the end sheet in the first set, and 50 loops along the edge of the corresponding sheet in the second set, and so placed that the loops are directly opposite each other. Then make 50 clasps of gold and join the 2 sets of sheets, so the tabernacle forms one whole. Also make sheets woven of goat hair for a tent over the tabernacle. Make 11 such sheets. The length of each shall be 30 cubits, and the width 4 cubits. All 11 sheets shall be of the same size. Join 5 of the sheets into one set, and the other 6 sheets into another set. Use the 6th sheet double at the front of the tent. Make 50 loops along the edge of the end sheet in one set, and 50 loops along the edge of the end sheet in the second set. Also make 50 bronze clasps, and put them into the loops to join the tent into one whole. There will be an extra half sheet of tent covering, which shall be allowed to hang down over the rear of the tabernacle. Likewise, the sheets of the tent will have an extra cubit's length to be left hanging down on either side of the tabernacle to cover it. Over the tent itself make a covering of ram skins dyed red, and above that a covering of tahash skins. The framework. You shall make frames for the tabernacle, acacia wood uprights. The length of each frame is to be 10 cubits, and its width 1.5 cubits. Each frame shall have 2 arms joined one to another, so you are to make all the frames of the tabernacle. Make the frames of the tabernacle as follows: 20 frames on the south side, with 40 silver pedestals under the 20 frames, 2 pedestals under each frame for its 2 arms. 20 frames on the other side of the tabernacle, the north side, with their 40 silver pedestals, 2 pedestals under each frame. At the rear of the tabernacle to the west, 6 frames, and 2 frames for the corners of the tabernacle at its rear. These 2 shall be double at the bottom, and likewise double at the top to the first ring. That is how both corner frames are to be made. Thus there shall be 8 frames with their 16 silver pedestals, 2 pedestals under each frame. Also make bars of acacia wood, 5 for the frames on one side of the tabernacle, 5 of those on the other side, and 5 for those at the rear of to the west. The center bar at the middle of the frames shall reach across from end to end. Plate the frames with gold, and make gold rings on them as holders for the bars, which are also to be plated with gold. You shall set up the tabernacle according to its plan, which you were shown on the mountain. The veils. You shall make a veil woven of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of fine linen twined with cherubim embroidered on it. It is to be hung on 4 gold-plated columns of acacia wood, which shall have gold hooks, and shall rest on 4 silver pedestals. Hang the veil from clasps. The ark of the covenant you shall bring inside, behind the veil which divides the holy place from the Holy of Holies. Set the cover on the ark of the covenant in the Holy of Holies. Outside the veil you shall place the table and the menorah, the latter on the south side of the tabernacle opposite the table, which is to be put on the north side. For the entrance of the tent, make a variegated curtain of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of fine linen twined. Make 5 columns of acacia wood for this curtain. Plate them with gold, with their hooks of gold, and east 5 bronze pedestals for them. Exodus chapter 27. The altar for burnt offerings. You shall make an altar of acacia wood on a square, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. It shall be 3 cubits high. At the 4 corners make horns that are of one piece with the altar. You shall then plate it with bronze. Make pots for removing the ashes, as well as shovels, basins, forks, and fire pans. As these utensils you shall make of bronze. Make for it a grating, a bronze network. Make 4 bronze rings for it, one at each of its 4 corners. Put it down around the altar on the ground. This network is to be a half as high as the altar. You shall also make poles of acacia wood for the altar, and plate them with bronze. These poles are to be put through the rings, so that they are on either side of the altar when it is carried. Make the altar itself in the form of a hollow box, just as it was shown to you on the mountain. So it is to be made. Court of the tabernacle. You shall also make a court for the tabernacle. On the south side of the court shall have hangings of fine linen twined, 100 cubits long, with 20 columns and 20 pedestals of bronze. The hooks and bands on the columns shall be of silver. On the north side there shall be similar hangings, 100 cubits long, with 20 columns and 20 pedestals of bronze. The hooks and bands on the columns shall be of silver. On the west side, across the width of the court, there shall be hangings 50 cubits long, with 10 cubits and 10 pedestals. The width of the court on the east side shall be 50 cubits. On one side there shall be hangings on the extent of 15 cubits, with 3 columns and 3 pedestals. On the other side there shall be hangings to the extent of 15 cubits, with 3 columns and 3 pedestals. At the gate of the court there shall be a variegated curtain, 20 cubits long, woven of violet, purple, and scarlet yarn, and of fine linen twined. It shall have 4 columns and 4 pedestals. All the columns around the court shall have bands and hooks of silver, and pedestals of bronze. The court is to be 100 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 5 cubits high. Fine linen twined must be used, and the pedestals must be of bronze. All the fittings of the tabernacle, whatever be their use, as well as all its tent pegs and all the tent pegs of the court, must be of bronze. Oil for the lamps. You shall command the Israelites to bring you clear oil of crushed olives to be used for the light, so that you may keep lamps burning always. From evening to morning, Aaron and his sons shall maintain them before the Lord in the tent of meeting, outside the veil which hangs in front of the covenant. This shall be a perpetual state for the Israelites throughout their generations. God bless you.